Hi, this is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com. Welcome to the South Carolina College Baseball Recap for Saturday, March 28th. There were 39 games involving state teams played on Saturday, including some pretty good, exciting results as we've seen several times in the past this year. Up in Huntington, West Virginia, Coastal Carolina scored the final 12 runs of the game after falling behind 4-0 and beat Marshall by a score of 12-4 to improve to 19-7 overall, 8-0 in the Sun Belt Conference. The Chanticleers, who are ranked number 15 this week in the D1Baseball.com poll, have won 30 straight games against Sunbelt Conference competition. Marshall fell to 13-12 and 5-3. Coastal took the lead in the 7th inning on Blake Barthol's RBI groundout, made them sent them up 5-4. Then they tacked on 2 runs in the 8th and 5 in the 9th. Darren Horn struck out 6 in 3 shutout innings of relief to get the save in that game. Coastal's playing awful well right now. A 7-run 8th inning gave Winthrop a comfortable lead, and they held on to beat Charleston Southern by a score of 14-4 to clinch a Big South Conference series. The Eagles are now 20-7 overall, 5-0 in the Big South. They won 5 straight games and 10 of their last 11. Chaz Grossington homered twice and drove in 4 runs for Winthrop today. The Eagles, as I mentioned, 5 straight wins, 10 of their last 11. Charleston Southern fell to 17-9 and 2-3. For Winthrop, Colin Crowley had a hit, a walk, a hit batsman, 3 runs scored, and an RBI. Over in Clemson, Derek Williams' 7th inning grand slam gave Miami an 8-0 lead, and they withstood a late comeback by Clemson to win 8-6 and take the rubber game of that ACC series at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. The Canes are now 21-7 overall, 4-5 in the ACC. Clemson fell to 19-10 and 2-7. Tristan McCladdy and Jacob Jarrell had 3 hits apiece for the Tigers. Jarrell had a home run. He drove in 3 runs in that game. Down at the Joe in Charleston, Phillips Daniels had 4 hits. T.G. Anderson drove in 4 runs for the Citadel, and they clinched a Southern Conference Series win over Western Carolina by a score of 13-9. The Bulldogs improved to 12-13 overall, 3-2 in the SoCon. Western fell to 17-11 and 2-3. Daniels, as I mentioned, scored 4 times. He had a single, a double, stole 3 bases. So he's doing a good job of making things happen on the base pass. Up at Wofford, Alex Bouchard, scattered 3 hits and struck out 7 in 6 innings, and Wofford clinched a SoCon Series win over UNC Greensboro by a score of 6-1. The Terriers improved to 18-9 overall, 6-1 in the SoCon. UNCG fell to 12-16 and 1-4. For Wofford, Cade Collins had 2 hits, 2 walks, a run scored, and 2 RBI. Also in Spartanburg, Tyler Lang and Henry Zener homered and drove in 4 runs apiece, and USC Upstate hammered UNC Asheville by a score of 14-1 to clinch a Big South Conference Series win there. The Spartans evened their record at 14-14 overall. They're 5-3 in the Big South. UNCA fell to 13-14 and 1-4. For Upstate, Zener, as I mentioned, he had 3 hits, including his home run, 2 walks. He also scored 4 times in addition to those 4 RBI. Down at Athens, number 7 Georgia hit 2 home runs and held South Carolina to 2 hits in clinching a series win by the score of 3-1. Carolina's run came on 4 walks in the first inning. Georgia took the starting pitcher out, and then Carolina could not get much else going on. Amp Phillips struck out 9 for the Gamecocks. He did, however, give up a solo homer and a 2-run home run. Georgia improved to 22-6 overall, 6-2 in the SEC. Carolina fell to 13-15 and 1-7. With Brandon Stone not pitching today, he'll likely get the start for the Gamecocks tomorrow. That's about it. Phillips went 6 innings, by the way, for the Gamecocks. Campbell scored 5 early runs and outlasted the College of Charleston by a score of 6-3. The Campbells improved to 17-9 overall, 10-1 in the Coastal Athletic Association, while Charleston fell to 10-16 and 5-6. Down in Samford, Birmingham area, Mason Blash didn't allow an earned run in 6 innings for Samford as they beat Presbyterian by a score of 7-4 to even that non-conference series. The Bulldogs improved to 11-14. PC fell to 5-23. For PC, Emory Guilford was 3 for 4 with a triple and a run scored. Moving on to Conference Carolinas, Chase Groove struck out 10 in a 7-inning, 6-hit shutout in Game 1, and Erskine went on to complete a sweep of Shawan in both the doubleheader and the series. Game scores on Saturday were 5-0 in Game 1, 13-4 in Game 2. The Flying Fleet improved to 17-19 overall, 12-9 in Conference Carolinas. Shawan fell to 3-22 and 3-18. In Game 1, Drew Potts had a single, a homer, and drove in 2 runs. And in Game 2, Noah Hill had 3 hits, stole a base, drove in 2 runs, and scored 2 runs. Up in Virginia, Thomas Powell drove in 5 runs as North Greenville completed a series sweep of Ferrum with a pair of wins on Saturday. Game 1 score was 11-1. Game 2 score was 7-4. In that first game, Bennett Romer went 6 innings, allowed 4 hits, a run, and struck out 9 for the Crusaders. In Game 2, Lane McGaha was 4 for 5 with a run scored and 2 RBI. In Florence, Francis Marion swept a doubleheader from Mount Olive after losing the opener on Friday night. Game 1 score was 7-3. Game 2 score was 18-4. The Patriots improved to 27-7 overall, 17-4 in the Conference Carolinas. Mount Olive fell to 15-17 and 9-12. In that doubleheader, or at that doubleheader before it, Francis Marion honored its 2006 College World Series team on the 20th anniversary of that. Charlie Bussey III had a 3-run homer in Game 2 to stretch his hitting streak to 9 games. And he's also got a on-base streak of about 44 games, I believe I heard them say. In Game 1, Riley Orr had a single, a homer, and drove in 3 runs. And in Game 2, Will Dorrell was 3 for 3 with a double, 2 walks, 4 runs scored, and an RBI. Jimmy Koza drove in 5 runs on that day on the game. Emmanuel bounced back from losing the Friday game against Southern Wesleyan to beat the Warriors twice in Conference Carolinas play. Game 1 score was 7-6. Game 2 score was 5-3. The Lions improved to 16-17 overall, 12-12 in Conference Carolinas. Southern Wesleyan fell to 11-24 and 5-16. For the Warriors in Game 1, Luke Taylor had 2 hits, including a double, drove in 3 runs. In Game 2, Matthew McCaffrey had a single, stole a base, and drove in a run. In the Sun Belt Conference, 4 pitchers combined for a 1-hit shutout as USC Aiken ruled Claflin by a score of 13-1 in 7 innings to clinch a series victory there. The Pacers are now 24-9 overall, 12-5 in the Peach Belt. Claflin fell to 3-22 and 0-17. For Aiken, Yariel Diaz was 2 for 4 with a double, a walk, 3 runs scored, and 2 RBIs. They had a lot of guys that had good games on the day. Also, Landon Steele capped Landers' comeback from 3 runs down with a walk-off double to beat Georgia Southwestern by a score of 5-4. The Bearcats improved to 19-14 overall, 12-8 in the Peach Belt. Georgia Southwestern fell to 18-16 and 11-6. For Lander, Nolan Alexander got the win. He pitched 2 innings of relief and he struck out 2, did not allow anything. In the other Peach Belt Conference game involving a state team, Columbus State evened its series of the USC Beaufort by the score of 5-2. The Cougars improved to 19-10 overall, 12-5 in the Peach Belt. Beaufort fell to 7-24 and 2-18. For Beaufort, John Davis was 3 for 4 with a stolen base and a run scored. In the South Atlantic Conference, a 4-run 5th inning gave Newberry the lead in Game 2, and the Wolves held on to beat Carson Newman in that game by a score of 6-5 to salvage the finale of that series up in Tennessee. Game 1 score was Carson Newman 4, Newberry 3 in 10 innings. Game 2 score was 6-5. The Wolves are now 20-14 overall, 14-7 in the conference. Carson Newman is now 19-13 and 10-11. For Newberry in Game 1, Nick Rydell pitched well. He deserved a better fate. He allowed 7 1/3 innings, did not allow an earned run. He struck out 6. In Game 2, Luke Compton had 4 hits for the Wolves in that nightcap. Also, Mars Hill held Anderson to a run and 6 hits in the doubleheader to beat the Trojans by the scores of 4-0 and 4-1. Mars Hill improved to 16-17-1 overall, 12-8 and 1 in the SAC. Anderson fell to 17-17 and 5-16. For Anderson, Gray Wells had 2 hits in game 1. Dylan Dampier had a triple and an RBI in the nightcap. And in the other game involving South Atlantic Conference team, Catawba pounded out 27 hits and winning a pair of games at Coker. Game 1 score was 14-1 in 8 innings. Game 2 score was 5-2. For the Catawba improved to 26-6 overall, 16-3 in the conference. They're a top 5 team in every D2 poll. They're actually number 1 in one of them. And Coker fell to 7-25 and 6-15. For Coker, Gavin Johnson had 3 hits in game 1, and Demetrius Sabino had a couple of doubles and scored a run in game 2. In other games, Rust College out of Mississippi scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning to force extra innings, but Voorhees got a bases-loaded walk in the bottom of the 10th to win 14-13 and complete a sweep in the HBCU Athletic Conference Series. For the Tigers, Ethan Farrell, who pitched a complete game victory in Game 2 on Friday, came in with the bases loaded and a 1-run lead for the Tigers in the bottom of the 9th. No one out. He got a sacrifice fly to tie the game, retired the next 2 guys, then retired the Rust in order in the 10th to set up the stage for the Tigers getting that walk-off win. Voorhees is now 7-17 in overall, 6-7 in the conference. Rust fell to 8-22 and 5-7. Also for Voorhees, Jaden Clay was 4 for 7 with a stolen base. He scored a run and he drove in 3 runs. Benedict got 6 hits and 15 walks in game 1 to edge Morehouse by a score of 9-8, and then they got 17 hits in game 2 to win the nightcap by a score of 19-3 in the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference doubleheader. The Tigers are now 14-8 overall, 12-8 in the SIAC. Morehouse fell to 14-12 and 11-7. For Benedict, Christopher Trujillo Ruiz had a hit, 2 walks, a run scored, 2 RBI in the opener. And in the nightcap, Joshua Medina was 4 for 4 with a double, 4 runs scored, and an RBI. In the Appalachian Athletic Conference, Matthew Garris pitched a 3-hit shutout in Game 2 as Columbia International beat Pikeville 8-0 to salvage the final game of the series and get a split of Saturday's doubleheader. The Game 1 score was 7-5 for Pikeville over Columbia International. The Rams are now 12-22 overall, 10-10 in the AAC. Pikeville is 17-12 and 9-9. Over at Spartanburg, before the Bryan Spartanburg Methodist doubleheader, they retired the number 11 jersey of former Pioneers coach Tim Wallace and had the honors there before the game. But unfortunately, Bryan won both of those games. Bryan won the first game. They pulled away to win Game 1 by a score of 13-8, excuse me, and they took Game 2 8-7, holding off a late comeback by the Pioneers. Bryan is now 17-16 overall, 10-7 in the AAC. SMC fell to 16-17 and 9-9. As I mentioned, they honored the memory of the late Tim Wallace by retiring his number 11 jersey. They got a commemorative jersey on the wall. His family was there to observe it, as was his dog Annie. And I know that was a special moment for the family and for the many, many SMC players and alumni who were affected by Coach Wallace in his career. Of course, for those of you who may not know him, he was there for 34 years, won 1,351 games, and he contracted cancer in the fall of 2024 and died in May of last year. He was a great guy. He was a good friend of the PalmettoStateBaseball.com. In Junior College Region 10, Forest Darlington Tech got run ruled by Gaston College in 14-4 in 5 innings to fall 2 games back in the region race. But fortunately for the Stingers, they scored 6 runs in the bottom of the 7th and went on to win Game 2 9-7 to pull back within 1 game of Gaston College in the standings heading into Sunday's series finale. FD Tech had a 7-game winning streak snapped in Game 1. They are now 32-7 overall, 13-4 in the conference. Gaston College is now 34-3 and 14-3. The big hit of that 6-run 7th inning was a 3-run home run by Jake Little. Also in Region 10, Nathan Kerouac pitched a 5-inning, one-hit shutout in Game 2 as USC Lancaster swept USC Salcahatchee. That Game 2 score was 15-0. Game 1 score was 12-7. The Lancers are now 19-16 overall, 6-10 in Region 10. Salcahatchee fell to 3-32 and 1-15. In the other matchup of Region 10 teams, Bryce Gillette's RBI single gave USC Union a walk-off win over USC Sumter 9-8 in Game 2 of a doubleheader after Sumter had won the first game by a score of 18-9. For the Fire Ants, Carew Bates was 6 for 9. He hit 3 home runs, drove in 11 runs on the doubleheader. I named him my Palmetto State Baseball Player of the Day. Union is now 20-15 overall, 5-11 in the region. Sumter is 22-11 and 10-6. We'll go ahead and hit some of the highlights from outside the state, some of the other games. In the ACC, Boston College beat Virginia for the second straight day. Virginia's number 9. Today it was a 17-0 rout for Coach Todd Interdonado's Eagles. Number 10, Florida State clinched a series win over Duke 12-11. Number 13, North Carolina swept number 23 Notre Dame 6-5 and 13-7. Louisville evened its series with Pitt with an 8-5 win. Virginia Tech deadlocked its series with Stanford with a 10-2 win. And Wake Forest swept California 4-1. In the SEC, Vanderbilt got its second extra inning walk-off win over Tennessee in as many days with a 6-5 win in 16 innings. In a game that just did end, Alabama beat number 5 Auburn by a score of 3-2. Elsewhere, number 2 Texas walked off number 8 Oklahoma again 5-4 in 10 innings to sweep that series. Florida clinched a series win over number 4 Arkansas 7-4. Number 6 Mississippi State won at Ole Miss for the second straight day 6-1. Number 24 Texas A&M smoked Missouri 14-6, and LSU shut out number 19 Kentucky 7-0. In D1Baseball.com top 25 play, Maryland topped number 12 Southern Cal 6-4. Appalachian State upended number 11 Southern Mississippi 6-2 in a Sun Belt Conference game. And Cal Santa Barbara beat Oregon, number 20, at 8-2. Well, how about the schedule for Sunday involving state teams? All right, we'll go in chronological order again. Claflin is at USC Aiken at 1 o'clock. Aiken has already won the first 2 of that series. Coastal Carolina goes for a series sweep at Marshall at 1. College of Charleston tries to salvage the series finale against Campbell at 1 up in Bowie's Creek. Gaston College and FD Tech play at 1 o'clock at Daly Field in Florence. Big game for the Stingers. If they win, they're tied with Gaston College with 4 weekends remaining in the schedule. If they should lose, they're 2 games back with 12 games to play to try to make that up. Also, Georgia Southwestern's at Lander at 1 o'clock. Bearcats go for a sweep. Presbyterian tries to get the rubber game of the series at Sanford at 1. Rust is at, Rust and Voorhees do not play. They played that one today. Georgia and South Carolina meet in Athens at 1 o'clock. Gamecocks trying to salvage a game out of that series. USC's gotten pretty good pitching, but they just cannot get any hitting going on. UNC Asheville is USD Upstate at 1. UNC Greensboro tries to avoid being swept by Wofford at 1 o'clock. USC Beaufort is at Columbus State at 1 in the rubber game of that series. USC Lancaster and USC Salcahatchee meet at 1 at Allendale. USC Sumter is at USC Union, 1 o'clock game at the ballpark in Jonesville. Western Carolina is at the Citadel at Joe Riley Park in Charleston as Bulldogs go for a sweep. Charleston Southern is at Winthrop at 2 o'clock trying to salvage the series finale over at Rock Hill. And Morehouse is at Benedict at 2 o'clock. Well, that's it for the South Carolina College Baseball recap for Saturday and the schedule for Sunday. Of course, tomorrow is Sunday. It's March 29th, which most people on the Christian calendar, if you will, it is Palm Sunday. If you decide to go to church, hope you'll go there and think about what it means to be a Christian. If you don't go to church anywhere, I'd love to invite you to come join us at Reedy River Baptist Church in Greenville. It's between the Furman Golf Course and Travelers Rest. Worship time is at 10:30. But for now, we'll look back on a fun day of baseball. This is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com saying, good night, Jesus loves you.